All right, if you're a runner, this is probably going to sound familiar. You find a training plan online, you print it out, you stick it on your fridge. You follow it to the letter for months, pouring your heart and soul into every single workout. But then race day comes, and the results just aren't there. It's so frustrating. But what if the problem isn't your effort? What if the problem is the plan itself? So let me just ask you point blank. Is your training plan actually listening to your body, or is it just a generic cookie-cutter schedule that treats every single runner like they're a carbon copy? Because, the science is basically screaming at us now that this one distinction, well, it changes everything. Take a look at this number, 21%. A huge study in 2022 found that a full 21% of runners using those static, off-the-shelf plans are what scientists call non-responders. Think about that. That means 1 out of every 5 runners is doing all the work, all the long runs, all the intervals, and seeing little to absolutely no real improvement. So in this explainer, we are going to tear that whole problem apart and show you the solution. We'll start with why those cookie-cutter plans fail so many people. Then we'll lay out the 4 core principles of adaptive training with real-world examples. And to wrap it all up, we are going to go myth-busting on some of the worst advice in running. Okay, so what's the fatal flaw in a static plan? Well, it completely ignores the one thing that matters most. We are all different. I mean, your genetics, your stress levels from work, how you slept last night, all of these things completely change how your body responds to a workout. A plan that turns your friend into a champion could drive you right into the ground. And this is where it gets really mind-blowing. This is the data from that same 2022 study. Just look at what happened when they swapped the static plan for one that adapted to each runner's recovery. The non-responders, they went from 21% down to 0, gone. And the high responders, the people seeing amazing gains, they jumped from just 23% to a whopping 81%. This isn't just a minor improvement, it's a total game changer. So, you're probably asking, how do we get those kinds of results? The answer is a system called adaptive training. And it's built on 4 principles that all work together like gears in a machine to create a plan that is truly yours, one that actually changes and grows right along with you. These are our 4 pillars. It all starts with a clear goal. That goal shapes your plan, but that plan has to be flexible, which is where daily modifications come in. Over a few weeks, those daily choices start to show your unique patterns of individual adaptation. And finally, everything you learn this training block informs the next one. That's seasonal evolution. See? It's not a checklist. It's a cycle, a constant feedback loop. Let's dive into principle number 1, training with a purpose. And let's make it real. Imagine your big goal is to smash that 3-hour and 30-minute marathon. From now on, every single run you do needs to be a specific, deliberate step toward making that happen. This is all about being specific. We are done with junk miles. We're done with just going for a run. Every workout now has a job, whether it's building your aerobic engine or teaching your legs the exact feeling of race pace. The famous coach Brad Hudson puts it perfectly. Every workout is either training for the goal or it's training to help you handle the training for the goal. Simple as that. So here's how that marathon plan might look. The first couple of months, you're in the base phase, just building a huge, powerful aerobic foundation. Then in the build phase, you start sprinkling in your actual goal marathon pace. You're teaching your body what it needs to do. By the peak phase, your long runs look a lot like the race itself. You're mastering pacing, you're practicing fueling. It all builds on itself, getting sharper and more specific as you get closer to the big day. Okay, so you have this perfect plan on paper, but life happens, right? A stressful day at work, a terrible night's sleep. What then? That brings us to our second, absolutely crucial principle, listening to your body. This is where making daily adjustments based on real data becomes your secret weapon. So let's paint a picture. You wake up on Tuesday, check your watch, and your heart rate variability, or HRV, is low. Your resting heart rate is up. You're sore. Now, HRV is basically a snapshot of how stressed or recovered your nervous system is. A high HRV means you're rested and ready to rock. A low HRV, that's your body waving a little red flag. Now your rigid, printed-out plan is yelling at you to do a brutal 10K tempo run. The old-school mindset says you just have to tough it out. But the adaptive approach says, nope, we listen. You make the smart call and swap that high-stress day for an easy, low-stress run. This isn't weakness, it's intelligence. You're preventing yourself from digging a hole of fatigue that could ruin your whole week. And let's be really clear here. This is not about training less or being lazy. It is about training smarter. By backing off when your body asks for it, you guarantee that on the days you are recovered, you can absolutely crush those hard workouts. As the research shows, this is how you get better results, by hitting it hard at the right time. So we've got our goal, and we're making smart daily calls. But what happens over time? Well, all those little adjustments start to paint a bigger picture. And that leads us right into our last two principles, which really go hand in hand. Evolving your fitness by understanding how you adapt and letting that guide your training season after season. Let's go back to that idea of two training partners, runner A and runner B. They're on the exact same plan. After a month, runner A is on fire. They feel amazing, their paces are getting faster, everything's great. But runner B is just dragging. They're tired all the time, they can't hit their paces, and their recovery scores are trending down. The same plan is creating a star and a struggler. Now, the old way would be to tell runner B to just try harder. The adaptive way is to become a detective. Okay, the current approach isn't working. So what if we try lowering the total weekly miles but keeping the hard workouts? Or maybe they do better with more frequent but shorter runs. We experiment. And here's the most important part. Everything we learn about what makes runner B tick this season becomes the starting point for their plan next season. That's how a plan evolves with you. Okay, so now that we have these powerful principles in our back pocket, it's time to go myth busting. Let's take down some of the most common and most destructive ideas that hold runners back. Let's start with the biggest one of all, the myth that more is always better. We've all been told that to get faster, you just have to run more. But that's just not how the body works. Here's the truth. You don't actually get fitter during your run. You get fitter when you rest after the run. Training is the stress that digs a hole. Recovery is what fills that hole back in and builds a mountain on top. And this quote right here just nails it. There's a huge difference between the amount of training you can survive and the amount of training you can actually benefit from. The goal isn't to see how much punishment your body can take. The goal is to find that perfect sweet spot of training that your body can take and turn into real positive adaptation. Which brings us right back to where we started, the myth that a static training plan is some kind of holy grail. The reality is, a good plan is a roadmap, not a set of commandments written in stone. You're going to hit detours. Your body is the ultimate guide, and it's telling you every single day when to push, when to cruise, and when to rest. You just have to listen. So let's boil this all down. What do you need to remember? First, and this is the most important one, if you're not getting better, it is not your fault. It is the plan's fault. Second, use the data your body is giving you to make smart choices every day. Third, make sure every run has a job to do for your big goal. And finally, remember that your training should grow and evolve with you, not just day by day, but season after season. And that really leaves us with one final critical question. From now on, I want you to stop asking yourself, am I sticking to my plan? And start asking, is my plan sticking with me? Is your training plan actually listening?